It is a new year, a new week, a new day, and a new episode of the PHNX Sun Devils show coming up in 30 seconds.
Nope. No, I'm not going to the countdown. Nope. We're sitting here.
We're just going to sit here for 30? Okay. Happy Monday and welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils show. Of course, coming to you live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. Join Inner Circle for free by downloading that Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. I am Anthony Totri, joined as always by the deli man behind the Mac.
Not as always.
You're right. Occasionally by the deli man.
As of the past week.
There you go. I mean, that's at that point, it's pretty often. He's making all the magic happen, guys. Do us a solid. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. We got a lot to get into today. Of course, we are talking Jordyn Tyson. We are going to talk about the return of Jaden Fortier, tight end, who redshirted this past season for Arizona State. He just announced that he's going to be coming back in 2025. Also, going to be talking about a familiar name hitting the transfer portal once again. I believe this is the 5th time. We've also got some news on Zachariah and Zion Branch, the Branch brothers, where they are headed. Of course, what you'd still like Kenny Dillingham and company to add in the transfer portal, maybe some needs, maybe some wants. And then at the tail end of today's show, for all the college basketball fans in the chat, we are, of course, going to be doing our very first college basketball Big 12 power rankings of the season. So grab a snack, grab a drink, buckle up, and we are going to kick things off talking about the star wide receiver for Jordyn Tyson. A star wide receiver for Arizona State.
I was going to say, who's his star wide receiver?
That's a good question. Melquan Stovall, I think, is his star wide receiver, to be completely honest with you. Jordyn Tyson, of course, coming off a marvelous season this past year for the Sun Devils. His last 3 games that he played in 2024 were just ridiculous what him and Sam Levitt were doing. Against Arizona, he had 8 catches, $143, and a touchdown. Against BYU, he had 9 catches for $125. And then against Kansas State on the road, 12 catches, 176 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns. Those were all season highs that he had against Kansas State. Of course, he went down in the Arizona game. We heard Kenny Dillingham and company just a few weeks after that injury occurred that he had surgery, that he would miss the entirety of the season. I know there were a lot of folks that were hopeful that you'd see Jordyn Tyson probably not in the Big 12 championship game, that you might see him in the college football playoff. There was never a chance that Jordyn Tyson was going to return against Texas. Even this week, if the Sun Devils would have advanced, he wouldn't have played against Ohio State, and then he would not have played in the national championship if the Sun Devils had found their way to that game. But a lot of Arizona State starters and even depth guys have announced publicly their decision to return to Tempe in 2025. Guys like Sam Levitt, Kyson Brown offensively, a bunch of guys on the offensive line. You got guys like a Ben Coleman, Sean Na, an up-and-comer along that offensive line. And then defensively, a ton of guys as well. Keith Abney, Jaden Robinson, a big one last week. Xavier Alford announced that he was going to be coming back for the Sun Devils. Keyshawn Elliott, Cyrus Fiaseyu. The list kind of goes on and on. But you haven't heard publicly from Jordyn Tyson, right? Now, there have been maybe some posts on Instagram stories that make it sound like Jordyn Tyson is coming back, but you should have more clarity by the end of the day today. January 6th, today is the last day that Arizona State players can enter the transfer portal. Now, originally the transfer portal window, the winter window, had closed, I believe about a week ago at this point, but because Arizona State made the college football playoff, the window was expanded for those players. So at 11:59 p.m. tonight, if nobody else enters the transfer portal for Arizona State, then they will be here at least until spring football. There is a spring transfer portal window that will eventually open about midway to about 3 weeks through spring football. So that is something to obviously keep an eye on. But if you don't hear anything negative about Jordyn Tyson entering the transfer portal, then he is on this roster, of course, heading into spring ball. I don't believe that Jordyn Tyson is going to enter the transfer portal. I feel pretty confident that he's going to come back, be wide receiver number 1 with Sam Leavitt at quarterback. Obviously, a lot of unfinished business. And I think there are a lot of Sun Devil fans out there. Let me know in the chat if you think that it would have been a different show in Atlanta in the Peach Bowl if you had Jordyn Tyson available. Because I certainly believe that it would have been a different game. I think Arizona State would have won that game if Jordyn Tyson was, in fact, available, if he didn't go down, if he didn't have to have surgery. And of course, going into next season with Sam Leavitt being a preseason, a likely preseason Heisman Trophy candidate, you'd love to be able to return a wide receiver in Jordyn Tyson who has that chemistry with Leavitt, who, in all honesty, I think could be one of the top wide receivers in the entire country next season. Certainly top 3 in the Big 12. Shane, do you think he comes back? Do you have any inclination?
I would be one of the most shocked people on the planet. The odds of him not coming back are like the odds of BJ Freeman missing a clutch free throw. Basically 0.
What's BJ Freeman's free throw percentage?
He's a really high percentage free throw shooter, but I said clutch. So that goes up to like 99.
That's valid. I know there are a lot of people in the chat that say they believe that Tyson comes back. A lot of people on social media as well feel good about it. And I do too. I think a big part of wanting to return to Tempe is you saw Arizona State was one of the final 8 last year or this past season in college football. You're returning Marcus Arroyo. You're returning your head coach, obviously, in Kenny Dillingham getting extended. And then you're returning your quarterback in Sam Leavitt. I think that, in all honesty, between Leavitt and Arroyo could seal the deal for Tyson to come back to Arizona State and have a really, really marvelous season next year, to be able to have that level of consistency in an offense, to be able to do it with a quarterback that you're familiar with. It's something that you don't see a ton of in college football, right? Because when you have star players like that, there is, of course, an opportunity in the transfer portal, whether you're going to go chase a bag, whether you want to go on a team that, like a few players we'll talk about a little bit later on in the show, maybe feel like they have a better chance to go out and win a championship. But we'll see. I feel like there are a lot of people at Arizona State on that roster, and you've already seen it in terms of retention, that guys believe this is the place. Guys believe that this is the place where they can win a national championship. This is the place where they can run it back. They can win another Big 12 title in just their second year in this conference. And they could do things that Arizona State has never done before, at least nothing that they've been able to accomplish in recent memory. So that's certainly going to be huge. Chris mentioning it, Tyson is a game changer. Absolutely. And I think one thing when we're talking about Jordyn Tyson, right, is in terms of playmakers, Jordyn Tyson was the second best offensive weapon that Sam Leavitt had on this team last year, outside of Cam Scattaboo, right? Scat's gone, right? I know that's going to hurt. I know that there's a lot of people not ready to move on, but that's what it is. And you're obviously adding weapons, you're returning guys, but Jordyn Tyson is so crucial to this offense. He's going to be crucial to what Marcus Arroyo and Kenny Dillingham want to do in the conference next season. And then, of course, the postseason, because there's a lot of people, I think, around Arizona State that firmly believe that the Sun Devils will be back. And I think if they are going to be back in 2025, you got to have Jordyn Tyson on that roster.
TJ asked, he says he has until tonight to enter, but why would he wait this long until to announce that he was leaving? That's a good point. But also, why would he wait until this long to announce that he's coming back?
Yeah.
The answer to that question, the hypothetical question I just posed myself, is it's so funny how we have to expect that now. Whereas last year, but specifically 2-3 years ago, if they didn't say they were in the portal, there was no worry.
Exactly.
If there was no buzz, there was nothing going on. And now you almost have to say you're coming back.
Yeah,
to calm fans down.
No, 100%, and that's something that I had tweeted out kind of with the show tweet today. Is he hasn't announced anything publicly, but that doesn't mean that you should be necessarily up in arms or worried that he's leaving, right? I think, like Shane said, we've gotten kind of in the habit now of when somebody publicly announces that they're going to come back, especially a star, and then you start to see that trend. Right? Sam Levitt, CJ Fight, Clayton Smith, a bunch of these big name guys on this roster publicly announcing on social media that they're coming back. If you go look specifically on Twitter, Jordyn Tyson is not necessarily like always on social media, Instagram from time to time, but like some guys just don't want to do that. Some guys don't have an interest in it. Some guys really don't care about the public perception. And whether they come back or not, that's kind of their own personal decision, right? Like there's nothing that says once you enter the transfer portal that you have to publicly announce it. There are guys that can enter the portal and not say anything. They could just have a commitment graphic when they're done ending up at their new school. And again, I don't think that's anything that has to do with Jordyn Tyson. I just don't think he is a big social media guy, especially when it comes to stuff like this. I do believe Jordyn Tyson will be back. And I do believe it is going to play a massive role for the Sun Devils in 2025. Again, you look at his numbers over the year, 75 catches, 1,101 receiving yards, averaged 14.7 yards a catch, 10 touchdowns. He was as good as any receiver in the Big 12 down the stretch. And just try and imagine what those numbers would have looked like if he would have played in that Big 12 title game, if he would have played in the college football playoff. I mean, realistically, we're probably talking about a guy in Jordyn Tyson that would be finishing the year with 90 receptions, probably over 1,250 receiving yards, and probably upwards of 11 to 12 touchdowns, which are ridiculous numbers for a sophomore wide receiver, right? Like it's just, it really does sting that he didn't get a play. But again, I do fully anticipate Jordyn Tyson being back at Arizona State in 2025. Again, if you don't hear anything by 11:59 tonight, it's good news. It's good news. It means Tyson will likely return. I do want to quickly mention Jaden Fortier. Jaden Fortier has announced that he is going to be back in 2025. Arizona State tight end who redshirted this past season. He obviously, his senior year of high school, he had tore his ACL in the championship game, so he had to deal with recovery the entire kind of 6, 7, 8, 9 months leading up to when he finally arrived at Arizona State. Jason Mons talked to him last season once Fortier had actually committed to Arizona State. He said he called him a golden goose, right? That's what Jaden Fortier can be. He's a big body tight end. He is a pretty slim tight end, so I'm interested to see what a full healthy year or a full off season
he was listed at
height wise or just overall.
6'3", how much?
215,
220.
220. Yeah, he's a very slim tight end, especially when you kind of put him in comparison to some of the tight ends that Arizona State had on the roster this past season. Shimon Mateer, Marcuston Douglas, some bigger body tight ends that are both 6'5". Douglas is like 250, 260.
On a bad day.
Yeah, Fortier is not one of those tight ends.
No.
So I'm interested to see what a full offseason, a healthy offseason does with Coach Joe.
I think this is like, if you are casual has such a bad connotation now. But if you just follow ASU football loosely, you might not know much about Fortier because obviously he didn't play at all this year. You might remember his name from the recruiting class.
Yeah.
People forget he was the number 1 player out of Oregon.
Yeah.
Top 25 tight end in the country in this recruiting class. 4-star wide receiver according to 247 with a 90 rating. Like, this is a legit prospect.
Absolutely.
Who's going to be a big part of ASU's offense the next couple of years.
This tight end room is going to be really fun to watch. Jason Mons is going to really have an embarrassment of riches there to kind of mold and to work with. Your returning Shimon Mateer. He was one of the first players to announce that he was going to be coming back. I did see that he doubled down on that announcement, I believe, last night. So he'll be back. You obviously added the tight end from Kentucky. That is going to be huge. And then you have Jaden Fortier coming back. You're adding a 4-star tight end in AJ Ia in this recruiting class coming as well. So you've got some big, tall tight ends, some pass catchers. You've got some guys that like to do the dirty work in terms of blocking. And specifically, as it relates to Fortier and Mateer, 2 guys that were here last season, right now. I know Fortier didn't play, but just being around that playbook, being around the system, taking those mental reps, I think is going to be huge for him when we do get to spring football and you start to see some guys maybe solidify their spots or start to carve out their roles in this offense for 2025. And then, of course, fall camp as well. So we will certainly see what this tight end room can really be. But it is certainly going to be a different look tight end room. And I think that is something that is going to be positive for this Arizona State team moving forward. Look, we are going to continue on talking about some transfer portal stuff, talking about some familiar names that are back in the portal and some guys that were in play for Arizona State but opted to go elsewhere. We're talking about all that and more on the other side of this quick break. Look, I know there are a lot of Sun Devil fans that really wish that the Sun Devils were playing in the Cotton Bowl in Dallas this upcoming week. But I'll tell you what, there are still some phenomenal games that you can go to, whether you're going to a college football playoff game, whether you're going to an NFL playoff game, or maybe you want to check out some college hoops. Game Time is the place to get your tickets. They've got a feature called Game Time Picks that filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. Look, I was looking at Chargers-Texans playoff tickets just the other day, too, for great seats for less than $250, 2 seats in Houston for an NFL playoff game. You're not going to find any deals out there quite like the ones that they got over on Game Time, guys. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account, redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Now look, Kenny Dillingham, Marcus Arroyo, and Brian Ward, they have made Arizona State their home. Okay, now if you're somebody maybe in the market for a new home, but you got to get rid of the new one, well, we've got the team for you, the Carol Royce Real Estate Team. They are family owned and locally operated with 3 generations of family members serving the Valley of the Sun. Carol and her team have an unbeatable track record, having sold over 12,000 homes across the Valley. 12,000 homes is ridiculous, guys. They know the Arizona real estate market like the back of their hand. You know you could trust them because it has been a family business for over those 3 generations. That's not something that you hear too often. If you're considering selling your home in 2025, the name to trust is Carol Royce. Your home sold guaranteed realty. Have questions? Call today or visit Carol online at carolroyceteam.com. That's carolroyceteam.com. Again, guys, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. House of Heat Sports saying it's okay. We have Derek Eusebio. I'm so fired up to see Derek Eusebio next season.
Has he announced he's coming back?
I don't know if he's made an official announcement if he's coming back. I imagine he will be back.
You never know, though.
You never know.
These guys who you get excited about, like your Corbin Hendricks, they'll go play at like Montana, and
they'll go hurt you.
I mean, you're gonna see Corbin Hendricks' name in the airport when you're traveling somewhere when the FCS championship is on and Montana's destroying teams as always.
Hendricks has 8 catches, a buck 11,
146, 3 touchdowns,
just eating. Then he transfers back to Arizona State. Yeah. I mean, who are you most excited to see? I
don't know why Tessitore would be on the FCS. Cool. I called his game at Arizona State.
There
he wasn't playing,
but I called it.
But I called the game.
I want to know who everybody in the chat maybe somebody that didn't play a ton this season that you expected to see or that you saw flashes of this season that you're really excited to see in 2025. I think Eusebio is going to be a good one. Do you have one, Shane?
I mean, everyone's excited about the running back room. Like, you don't know who's going to be the bell cow next year. Like,
I feel like a lot of people think it's going to be Kanye, though.
Yeah, you would think, but you never know. I mean, Kyson Brown has looked awesome. Jason Brown Jr. looked amazing in the limited time we saw him.
Yeah.
And then you can't forget about Alton McCaskill. And who else is coming back? Raleek Brown. Like,
it's a
I don't know, man.
Big room, dude.
Raleek Brown was the only person on the sidelines whose vibes were high the entire game.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't matter what was happening in that Texas game. His vibes, they were down 16, 17, 18, whatever it was. Vibes were high.
Big vibe guy.
Yeah. Song came on during a TV timeout. He's dancing. I love that guy.
Yeah. Raleek Brown That's what Zach says. He's looking forward to seeing Raleek Brown. House of Heat Sports says Kyson Brown might shock people, or even Keith Abney. I feel like we're beyond the Keith Abney shocking people.
No, Keith Abney is like legitimately going to be one of the top corners in college football next year.
Is there?
Like, I'm not kidding.
Are we talking maybe preseason all conference team?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, you can't. I almost feel like ASU players might get over-respected.
You think?
A little bit.
But can you over-respect a team that was in the college football playoff?
No, I'm not saying like that it's not deserved, but I think as ASU fans, you can't expect that there's going to be disrespect at all this year. And in some cases, I think they might be flooded with respect. ASU players. Well, you look at you talk about this on the show all the time. How many people are coming back?
Yeah,
you get the entire defense back aside from.
Your nickel.
Shark Mari.
Yeah,
like
Shark Mari.
That's the only person you're not getting back right now.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah, that is crazy. Yeah, I think.
And by the way, they were good.
Realistically.
The defense was really good.
Oh, yeah. They held Texas to
the least amount of yards they've had all year.
Yeah. It was absolutely ridiculous what they
Georgia
did this past season.
couldn't even do that.
No, and they had 2 tries at it. I think realistically, we are talking about and this is slightly off topic, in terms of all conference like preseason team. Let's run through it real quick. Jordyn Tyson's going to be on the list if he's back. Sam Levitt's going to be on that list.
Yep.
Xavier Alford's going to be on that list. Ben Coleman's going to be on that list. CJ Fight is going to be on that list. Keith Abney's probably going to be on that list. And I wouldn't be shocked if you saw Keyshawn Elliott on that list. We're talking about, at a minimum, probably six, 7 guys going to be on that team.
Clayton might be on that list.
Clayton could be on that list too. Like, this team should be favored to win the conference next year.
And I think your other linebackers might be on that list.
VSAU and Crook, too.
I think Cyrus could be on that list, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a really, really fun team to watch next season. But kind of want to shift gears.
Real fast. Plus, the running back, whoever is the starting running back at the start of the year is not just another starting running back. They're a Sean Aguano starting running back. Like, whatever you think their production is, what do you think Kanye Udo's production is next year if he's the starting running back?
If he's starting running back?
1,300 yards, 1,400 yards, whatever.
Are we talking all-purpose yards?
No, on the ground.
On the ground, we're probably talking, I'd say 1,300.
Yeah, add 200 more to that because Sean Aguano's his coach.
I'd say 1,300, 10 tutties is probably what you're expecting.
1560, 14 touchdowns. I don't know. Everybody might eat. But what I'm saying is this backfield, regardless of what we have thought in the past, every single year you go into the season saying, whatever you're saying about the backfield, whether you're super excited about it like Rashad White is transferring in, you're super excited about it because you have a guy coming back that's been really good. Or we'll see how this transfer does, Xavier Valade. And then they outperform your expectations no matter what they were.
Yeah.
That's just always what happens. So this running back room is going to be good again. And we know that, but just remember that it's going to be even better than what you think probably.
Yeah. Well,
which is scary.
That's something that you have to consider, like when we're talking about who is the captain of this ship, right? Kenny Dillingham. Everywhere that he has gone, like 2 things have been pretty clear. The run game has been like top 10 in the country. And the offensive line has done a phenomenal job of keeping their quarterback upright.
Think about it this year, though. You're like, okay, Scat was amazing last year. He is so slept on. He deserves preseason all-conference. We know this. He's probably going to go for 1,500 all-purpose yards. No, he's going to shatter every record that's ever been held
every
here.
record.
Like that's the type of stuff I'm saying. People didn't like. ASU fans were so excited about Cam Scatterby this year. So excited. They were so excited that people were calling them delusional about how excited they were. There's no way he's gonna rush for 1,200 yards. There's no way he's gonna catch touchdown passes. There's no way the last year was a gimmick.
Yeah.
Oh, whoops. Heisman.
Yeah, literally. Jay Wood in the chat, damn, was averaging 200 when playing Texas, back down to regular numbers. Look, we appreciate everybody hopping in today. And every day, whether it's the off season, whether we're talking spring ball, basketball, a Monday show, does not matter.
I think the people from Texas will be back tomorrow. They're just occupied today.
You think?
Yeah.
That's fair. That is absolutely fair. Look, I wanted to talk Jaden Rashada. I'm going to push that a little bit just because of the conversation that we were having. I think this is a good time to really discuss transfers in terms of for Arizona State at this point, now that Zachariah Branch and Zion Branch have committed to Georgia. Zachariah Branch and Zion Branch.
We have a Zachariah.
You're right.
He's a Zachariah.
We have a sample. What the needs and the wants for Arizona State still in the transfer portal, what you can get, what you might expect. And then everybody in the chat, I want to know what you still want to see from Kenny Dillingham, Marcus Arroyo, Brian Ward on the defensive side. what position players do you feel like this Sun Devil team still needs to add before spring ball? And then, of course, maybe what do you want this team to add before spring ball? Again, there is an entirely another window for Arizona State players to leave. And then, of course, for Arizona State to add players in the portal. But for me, Shane, I feel like in terms of what you still need, I still would like to see an addition of an offensive lineman because you are losing a key guy in Leaf, right?
Right now, who would start at center?
I think they're going to move Ben Coleman to center. I think Ben Coleman will be center.
He would be a great center.
Sean Na is going to be probably a starting guard at that point. You're returning Max, your starting right tackle. Josh Atkins is returning.
Max who?
You're returning your starting left tackle in Josh Atkins. And there are, a number of young guys that really sat all year long, redshirted all year long. You still got Joey Sua, who you could have play right guard. Like, this offensive line is going to look different, but it's also going to have some familiar faces. So I would like to still see an addition of an offensive lineman. I would love to see a D tackle, especially after you are losing Jeff Clark, right? This has been a team in Arizona State that it feels like every year adds a really fun nose tackle or defensive tackle.
What
Like, think this
Graham
year,
Walden? Is he still here?
he's still on the roster. Oh, and you're getting Clem back.
Jalen Clem.
Yeah. So that could obviously be a big part of this offensive line. But think about it. The last 3 seasons, think about the defensive tackles that Arizona State has added in the transfer portal and their impact, right? This past year was Jeff Clark. The year before, what was the dude's name? Had a monster season too. And it's not Nesta. Obviously, Nesta was the year before that, but there was a defensive tackle. Let's see if anybody in the chat can help me out here. Because it was
monster year?
He had a pretty big year. He played a massive role for the team in the UCLA win. Oh man, it's gonna bug me. It is really gonna bug me. I'll have to look it up at some point. But
there you go, Totri. Max.
Ian Onshore.
You can't even phonetic pronounce Ihanachor.
Ihanachor. There you go. I'm never gonna be able to say that dude's last name, dude. Ihanachor. No, it wasn't BJ Green. I'm thinking of a nose tackle, man. It's gonna bug me.
Deshaun Mallory?
Yes, it was Deshaun Mallory. Was it? It might have been Deshaun. Was he a transfer portal guy?
I think so.
Maybe it was Deshaun Mallory. Yeah, it might have been. I don't know. It's hitting, but it's not hitting at the same time. I also would like to see this team bring in an edge rusher. So I saw somebody had said it in the chat. This is a team in Arizona State that, ironically enough, you saw it against Texas. You saw them find ways to get to Quinn Ewers. But overall this season, like, the pass rush hasn't necessarily been – it wasn't the strongest point of this defense.
Not at all.
With a secondary that you have with such quality, like, ball hawks on the back end, if you're able to get consistent pressure, what that does is massive in terms of being able to force turnovers, create 3rd and long opportunities. So getting a big edge rusher, I think, would be huge, especially with Jamon Tapp in the transfer portal. I know you're bringing back Dorba Smith and Elijah O'Neal, but I still feel like you could use another rotational guy. That would be huge. But yeah, I do think you were right. I think it was Deshaun Mallory.
How is Ashley Williams doing?
I haven't heard that name.
Maybe
in a
he
while.
wants to come home.
Where did he go? He was a Raging Cajun this past year, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea how Ashley Williams was doing, but my goodness, was he was a behemoth as a true freshman in practice.
Let's see what he did this year.
Anything fun?
Oh my God, 6'5", 260 now.
Jeez.
No.
Next year he's gonna be 6'7", 300.
He had 17 total tackles.
Any sacks?
No sacks.
Yeah, I mean, not great.
Come home.
Come home. He's from Louisiana.
Yeah, come home.
Oh man, yeah. I think those are 3 positions specifically that Arizona State could benefit from, just in terms of depth. Maybe you get a quality starter off the edge or at defensive tackle. Now again, you're bringing back Kankaika. You're bringing back CJ Fight. So I think overall the defensive line is going to be good. What do you think, Shane? In terms of needs, not wants, but what needs do you feel like this team still needs to have?
I think edge is, just D-line in general.
D-line in general.
Edge isn't a true, like, go get him pass rusher. I think they started to develop Clayton into that in this past offseason, and I think they're going to continue to do so.
Yeah.
Because he's obviously a speed guy. But yeah, I think that's the biggest need, if you can say. How about ASU goes and gets Bradley Weaver from the MAC, University of Ohio? Great. 6'4", 235. monster in the transfer portal. How about that?
Well, what are the numbers? What are the numbers here?
Let's find the stats from this year. He's a good player.
Let's go find the numbers. Yeah, let me know in the chat what you guys still want to see in terms of addition to the roster. Will in the chat says need D-line and cornerback depth. I don't think you need cornerback depth. You have so many young guys. So many guys.
Yeah, well, you just have to hope that two at least pan out. You hope that Bimage, you hope that
Nkuba. I think Nkuba is going to be a dog.
You hope that, what's the
Chris Johnson,
and there's one more I'm missing. One of those guys pans out.
I think, look, you had the addition.
He had 8.5 sacks last year.
I'm taking it.
Bradley Weaver.
Welcome to Tempe, son. Welcome home.
Come home. He's from Hillard, Ohio.
You look at
3 forced fumbles.
Wow. You look at the secondary, right? Specifically when we're talking corners, right? This is a team that needed nickel help because you lost Cole Martin at UCLA and you lost Shamari Simmons to the NFL draft out of eligibility. So do you see a situation where Montana Warren maybe stays in that nickel role?
He was playing almost strictly nickel as a freshman, like in practice with the second team.
Yeah, but he'd never played nickel in a game before.
Yeah, I know. But that's what they were shaping him up to do because of the weight he put on. He was. They were excited about him.
I like his length at that spot. I really like his length at that spot. Of course, you've got Bimage, Chris Johnson, Tony Nkuba, like I said, I think is going to be I think next year he's going to really, really play a ton. To be completely honest with you, his body, he's a freak of nature. He's got a
Richard Sherman built.
He does. Really, really lengthy. Pretty solid speed. Pretty solid speed too. You're returning Jayden. You're returning Keith. You added the DB from Washington State, who I think plays a little bit more safety. So I'm really interested to see that. I'm also interested to see really how that safety room pans out, right? Because people were concerned, specifically in the Die Hard Discord, of why Zion and Zachariah didn't opt to come to Arizona State. Both of them wanted playing time, right? That was part of the package deal, is that Zachariah and Zion both wanted to see the field.
So go to Georgia.
There was never, again, Kenny Dillingham doesn't promise playing time.
Well,
he doesn't promise playing time.
I know nothing about this situation. I'm doing no big J journalism right here. I'm doing no reporting. It was money. There's just no way it wasn't. I'm not saying that was a differentiator and the only reason, but Georgia definitely is able to outpay ASU in this, and I think that's probably where their hearts went. These are two.
But you got to think they were already getting a bag at SC.
Yeah, but they're getting a second bag now.
Yeah, you're still getting money here.
What do they always say, Totri? And don't take this advice right now. They always say, if you want to make more money, don't stay at your job. Switch jobs every couple of years. You stay here, okay? Switch jobs every couple of years because that bonus, that raise you're going to get to go to a different place is going to be bigger than the 3% raise you're going to get each year.
Yeah.
I think the same applies in the transfer portal. Yeah, you could keep making $3 million at SC. Again, these numbers are just things I'm throwing out. Or they could pay the Branch family $15 million to grab both of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like ASU was never truly in it after they visited Miami because I know.
Well, Miami was so much later in the process.
I also know Miami can outpay ASU in funds too. So,
but there was never a chance that Zion was going to start here. Not with Ghost and Xavier both coming back. That was never going to be a realistic thing.
I could see him starting over Ghost.
No way.
Yeah.
Not after the season that Ghost had. Pretty sure Ghost led the team in tackles this year.
Ghost is a really good player, but he also slots in at many different positions. He doesn't play a true safety position.
Yeah, but what are you sliding him in as? Because I don't think you're stealing playing time from a guy that was on this roster last year.
You're creating your own position for him.
He's playing
the Ghost.
He's playing the Ghost.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm here. I like that. I like that a lot. What about needs or wants? What do you still want to see as opposed to a need for this team?
I think going back to needs, I think you need some wide receiver depth.
I was going to say wide receiver.
I think you need that. I don't think that's a want. You have so many people you're losing because of eligibility.
Yeah, but who are you bringing back? You got to think this is a team that still has. Okay. You're hoping.
Are
Tyson.
You confident in your 1, 2, 3 right now? Let's assume Tyson's coming back. Name your 1, 2, 3.
You've got Tyson as your 1.
Okay.
You've got Moss as your 2.
Okay. Unproven.
Your 3 at this point is the
other transfer?
Nobles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably your 3.
Okay, so 1 is going to be one of the best players in the Big 12. 2 and 3 are 2 guys that you have no idea if they're even going to be good.
Moss is good. Moss is an NFL wide receiver.
How do we know this?
Turn on the tape. Watch what he's been able to do at Fresno State the last couple of seasons. Everybody that I've talked to at ASU believes that Jalen Moss can be a wide receiver at the next level. And I feel I feel more confident. And this is not a slight. I don't want this to be taken as a slight to receivers this year. But I think Tyson and Moss is going to be a more consistent 1-2 punch next year than the wide receiver room that you had this year. In all honesty, I don't know a ton about Nobles, right? Dude coming out of Clemson. The high school tape says that he's a really talented wide receiver, but he didn't play a ton at Clemson. So it's tough to really evaluate that. I do think Eusebio is going to have a little bit more of an expanded role this year. People may like that. People may not like that. But that's kind of what I think. What are you looking at? You looking at them?
I was looking at Ghost's tackle numbers. He had 13 more than anybody else.
Yeah, he was all over the field.
That's hilarious. You know who had more than him last year though? Shamari.
Yeah,
Shamari was
led
in the hundreds.
Was him or Chris Edmonds that led the team in tackles last year?
Shamari led the team in tackles last year. Chris Edmonds was on the roster last year.
The year before?
Yeah.
Man, we're just real deep.
Yeah,
real deep, going way back.
No, yeah. Well, I know Jalen Moss is he's a true sophomore and has really good production. Yeah, the tape is the tape. He's got really good athleticism. Malik McClain has really good athleticism.
I forgot Malik's coming back too.
But like
you're telling me you don't have what's your confidence? Okay, let's play a game here, and I want this for everybody in chat.
It's way more of a need than I want in my opinion.
I hear you. I don't totally disagree with you on that. I want everybody in the chat, and I want Shane to answer this question too. On a scale of 1 to 10, okay, what was your confidence this past year in your 1, 2, 3 wide receivers?
It was higher
in Tyson, Melquan, and Guillory.
Yes.
What was it out of 10?
7.5.
It was 7.5.
I was very high on this receiver room.
How much of it was you being high specifically on Tyson as opposed to the entire group?
It was Guillory.
I
thought Guillory was going to have an even bigger year than he had.
And he did.
He had a good year.
And so what would you say out of 10 you are for these 3? Assuming they don't add anybody else.
4.
A 4?
I mean, you're asking me about the cumulative effort.
I guess that's fair.
The scope. If we're averaging, you give me Tyson's confidence level, it's a 10. You give me the other guys, it's a 4 and 5. So I guess if you average that out, 18 divided by 3 is 6. So 6.
Interesting. House of Heat Sports says McClain's going to be 2. Yeah, I totally forgot about Malik. I do think you're going to have Tyson as your 1, Malik as your 2, and then Moss fits in as a really nice slot. But I think Marcus Arroyo also likes to experiment, right? I think you're going to see Jordyn Tyson in the slot at times next season. I think that is a mismatched nightmare for nickel corners, and especially for a defense that plays a lot of man.
Is Zachariah playing what, receiver or DB? I think he's playing DB, right?
Which are you talking about? Branch?
Zachariah
Sample.
Yes,
he's a wide receiver.
Okay,
he's a wide receiver.
Because I remember
he's a talented wide receiver.
He played both sides of the ball, and I remember when he first got here, Brian Carrington was like, "We're not letting him go. He's playing DB."
He was all of the prep for the college football playoff and all year. He was pretty much doing.
Things probably changed, but I'm saying I remember in spring ball last year when he got here, BC was like, "We do not want him going to practice with the receivers."
Oh yeah, he's pretty good.
Or no, that was Plass.
Yeah, you're thinking of Plass Johnson.
Plass is playing corner.
Yeah.
So
Plass is playing corner.
There's more.
There's another corner depth guy.
There we go.
And so I see a lot, 8.5, 5 for last year. What do you guys feel in terms of confidence this year? If that is your 3, right? If those are your 3 wide receivers, if it is Tyson, if it is McClain, and if it is Jalen Moss, let me know. And we will continue talking Arizona State on the other side of this break. Guys, of course, we are here in Studio K, presented by our friends over at Circle K. It's America's thirst shop, and they're trying to help you save money every single day. What better way to start a new year than with a new free membership program that you can save money with? It's called Inner Circle. It's super easy to download. Go to the App Store, download it, enter your email and phone number to be fully enrolled. And right after that, all you need is your phone number to get the deals. Literally, once you've enrolled, you pull up to the pump, you type in your phone number, and you're going to start getting deals like saving 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. And then if that's not enough, you guys can save 3 cents per gallon every single day. Literally, every day. If you wanted to fill up on gas, just top off every day, you could save money every single day with Inner Circle, guys. Plus, there's plenty of other member-exclusive deals and discounts. You can enjoy your member-exclusive beverage deal. Inner Circle members, like, you can get any size Polar Pop or Froster for just 79 cents. Join Inner Circle for free by downloading that Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. Deli Man, do you trust me?
Yes.
Yes. Do you trust me as much as you trust our friends over at Desert Financial?
Absolutely not.
And that's fair. I've only known you a few years. Our friends over at Desert Financial, they've been doing it for more than 40 years.
Okay, but
Shane.
Okay.
Handful of years. There you go.
There
Desert
you
Financial, they've been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, dedicated to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that make lives better. Look, you guys can turn to Desert Financial for checkings and savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and more. If it has to do with your finances, Desert Financial, they've got somebody and some team to take care of you. Now is the time to show your ASU team spirit. Open a free checking account online and get $200 plus your choice of 3 Arizona State University Visa debit cards. Go to desertfinancial.com/ASU to get started. Yes, JJ, we are going to get to some college basketball talk in just a bit. Just to clarify, Shane, how long have we known each other? A few years.
No, it's not a few. It's 2 handfuls at least.
But do we count the time that we were apart?
Yes.
That's tough.
Yeah, we do.
We do?
We do. You said no.
I mean, I don't feel like we do. I feel like you've been a consistent part of my life.
How long have we been friends?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah. How long
have we known each other and you hated me? 7.
Was this not a mutual hatred?
No.
No, yeah, I didn't like you. I didn't like you very much when I first met you.
I didn't even know who you were.
But I saw you a number of times. It wasn't like a one-time thing.
Then when I re-met you at Boondocks, no free ads, I shook your hand and I was like, I don't really remember this guy.
Yeah.
And then I saw a picture and I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah. I was like, this son of a.
Anyway, let's move on. Nobody cares about our friendship.
Oh goodness. 454 Kasul saying, does Malik McClain still have eligibility? I think he'll be really good if he comes back. Yes, we just finished talking about it. Malik McClain has already announced that he will be back at Arizona State in 2025. So certainly some exciting stuff for that wide receiver room next year. And Hines Ward, I think that is, I mean, if we're talking about retention, being able to retain all of those position coaches, knock on wood for right now, I think is huge. Whether that be for the development of those guys or retaining them, right? Hines Ward, I think another one, Brian Carrington, year over year. As long as you can keep Brian Carrington on this staff, I think you are going to be really, really solid in terms of DB production, in terms of being able to develop those guys, and then really being able to recruit the state of Texas because of just how much time he has spent in Texas over the course of his career. And, you know, he's got a really fun backstory. If you've never heard how he got into coaching, highly recommend you go look that up because it is really, really fun. We will get into Jaden Rashada, but I know I keep pushing it. There's something that I've been thinking about really since the season ended, and I want to get everybody's thoughts on it because when Dilly first got hired here, there was such a big emphasis on spring ball, right? On the spring game. Getting the Valley activated. Like, wanted it to be almost a sellout, right? You want 30, 40,000 people to come out to the spring game, and everybody was like, what are we talking about? Well, like, this team won 3 games last year. They're in the middle of an NCAA investigation. You think you're going to get 30,000 fans out to the spring game? And now, after seeing the way that Arizona State fans traveled to the Big 12 championship game, after seeing the way that they really took over Atlanta, after seeing the social media presence all over, right? All over the Valley, all over the country, I am so interested to see what that spring game looks like, right? We talk about the Valley being activated, but after taking some time off, right? Because that is going to be months away, right? How many Arizona State fans genuinely show up to that spring game because they want to see the Sun Devils?
I'd be disappointed if it's not borderline sold out.
Yeah.
At least the lower bowl.
Yeah. And think about that. Think about where this team was at, this program was at, even at the start of this season, right? There was an emphasis that, hey, we think this team's going to be better. We think that this team's going to go bowling. right? At a minimum, you'd like to see 5-6 wins. This team won 11 games. They won a conference championship. They were a play away in the college football playoff from being one of the final 4 teams, right? And last year, the spring attendance wasn't like otherworldly. It was better than the year before. But I just couldn't help but not thinking about it because of how big of an emphasis it was when Dilly first came to Arizona State. People were saying, what are you talking about? I remember in one of his very first press conferences, he had talked about it, and he was asked, like, why do you think that's going to get done? And he said, why not? Right? It takes the valley. It takes a village. Well, I feel like the football team has done their part, right? How often have you and I had this conversation of what's going to come first, the winning or the fan base? Well, the winning is here. Now the fan base, it's time to do their turn, and they did it. They did it in Atlanta. It was one of the best turnouts, if not the best turnout that I've ever seen for a road game for Arizona State fans. That's basketball, that is football, whatever. And now you get a chance to in the spring, you're going to get to see some new faces. You're going to get to see some returning faces. I think it's going to go a long, long way to really maybe not sell out, but like Shane said, get at least 95% of that lower bowl completely full for that spring game.
The football team has done its job. Now ASU needs the athletic department to do their job. They need to find a way to make this more fun. They need to find a way to make this more of an event. It almost felt like the game wasn't an extension of anything. It just felt like that was the thing and that was it. And it wasn't really a game. It was really weird last year. You need to make it a whole event. Hey, ASU football is returning. We're going to have this big block party outside. There's going to be tailgating. There's going to be drinks. There's going to be food. There's going to be a lot of stuff. There's going to be, maybe an event leading up to it.
Yeah, maybe a PHNX Sun Devils show.
Before the game. There's going to be a PHNX Sun Devils show live on Mill from to be determined.
Yeah.
Hit us up, sponsors. They need to make it a whole thing.
Yeah.
It can't just be come to the spring game. And while that should be enough, it's not anymore. What ASU has always combated with is one of its greatest strength, and that's location and how much there is to do. Mm-hmm. If it's on a Saturday at 7 p.m. in the spring, right after a pool party that the bunch of students just attended,
probably not.
It's hard to get people there. You have to find ways to schedule around it and make it the thing, rather than we might go to it after we attend this thing I'm going to, or we might go to it after I grab some lunch with friends. No, that needs to be the thing everyone's going to. I can't do this because I'm going to the spring game. Oh, sorry, I can't attend this pool party because I'm going to the spring game. Like, that needs to be the thing.
I want to know how everybody in the chat, and Shane, you can answer this too. I believe this was the first year that Dilly did it, that they did it right after the Tillman run, or at least like on the same day.
Yeah.
Like, do you feel like that was a good way to kind of promote the spring game, doing it all like while the people are there? They might as well show up to the spring game that you have.
Yeah, it's hard though. It made it really hard for them to do that, because there's so much that goes into that, the road closures and it just I felt like it was really funneling. It was like the funnel was really thin getting into Tempe. So it's gonna be tough to do it like that. I think they'll probably stay away from that this year.
I am really, really interested to kind of see how that overall kind of goes, but it's just something that I've been thinking about over the course of the last couple days, because of the way that I've seen the fan base really show up and show out, especially on social media, and like I said, in Atlanta. So I think that's going to be something to watch as the months go on. But I do want to get into Jaden Rashada. Do I got time, Shane? Do I got time to quickly touch on Jaden Rashada before I go to a break?
Yeah.
Or do I have to go to a break first?
Let's just go to a break first.
Okay.
Let's keep pushing back Jaden. He kept pushing back his
I guess that's fair.
I guess that's fair.
Well, he's picking another school, and we're going to pick a couple sponsors to talk about. How about that? The sponsor that I want to tell you guys about is our friends over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. I hope, I really do, if you guys didn't make it to Atlanta, if you didn't get to watch the Peach Bowl in person, I really hope you were over at Wild Horse Pass and you got to experience a PHNX watch party a live watch along for that game. The turnout looked phenomenal. It looked like everybody was having an absolute blast over at Wild Horse Pass. Whether you went out to the event or you want to go for a staycation or maybe you want to win some money, one thing you always got to remember is nobody does it better than our friends over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You can visit any one of their 4 locations, or heck, visit all 4. Wild Horse Pass, Bequiva, Santan Mountain, the list goes on. And look, win some money, okay? That's how you need to start the new year. You can go all in with over 4,500 slots and live table games, especially if you're a big game guy or gal like the Deli Man is.
The biggest. I say my favorite things in life are games and tomfoolery.
And treats.
Yeah, games, treats, tomfoolery.
There you go. Well, look, they've got all the things. They've got all the things over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Again, be on the lookout. Going to be hosting some events there all year, including cards, Suns watch parties, and so much more. You do you at Gila River Resorts Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details. Guys, it's time to keep it tasty, Tempe. That's right. We are talking about Neutral Vodka Seltzer. They have officially arrived, made with simple ingredients like vodka, seltzer, and real juice. It doesn't taste like an artificial seltzer. It doesn't. And I'm not a big seltzer person, but they have found a way to perfectly combine these ingredients to make it still taste sweet, but not too overpowering, not too over carbonated. It really is a perfect balance, and they've got so many different flavors to try: pineapple, watermelon, black cherry, orange. The list goes on and on. Neutral, keep it tasty. Enjoy responsibly. 2024 Anheuser-Busch Neutral flavored vodka and carbonation, St. Louis, Missouri. Will in the chat saying that watch party was lit. Super glad that everybody was there. Short Bus all saying we had the sports book across the way cheering ASU and air high five the watch party. That's absolutely awesome. Again, one last time, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Let's go ahead. Let's talk about Jaden Rashada, who is entering the transfer portal once again, per Pete Thamel, leaving Georgia. He left Arizona State, left Florida, decommitted from Miami. He's on to number 5. Shano, Jaden Rashada looking for another school to call home. Look, I was somebody that after Arizona State got to the college football playoff, I was like, there's a world. There's a world where your Arizona State Sun Devils, led by Sam Leavitt, are in the national championship. If Georgia quarterback Stockton maybe didn't go to the game, maybe he got left behind on the bus, because I don't wish injury upon anybody.
He got the flu.
He got the flu.
And it's really bad.
Well, but he's still going to live.
Oh, he's totally fine.
Yeah.
Just not that day.
Just
He's severely dehydrated.
Yeah. Wait, he can't just miss the bus that day?
Well, but then he plays at some point.
What if the bus took him to another state?
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
He got on a very weird bus. He got on a Greyhound and on accident.
Yeah.
And it's going to
Wrong way.
Where would the game have been? Atlanta. So the Greyhound's going to Orlando.
Yeah. Tough.
This plane's going to Miami.
And then Jaden Rashada starting for the Georgia Bulldogs, going up against the Arizona State Sun Devils in the national championship game. That would have been obviously phenomenal. That was just a pipe dream at this point. But yeah, Jaden Rashada didn't find home, I guess, at Georgia. You almost got to feel like, I think there's people that feel bad for Jaden, and I think there's people that are maybe coming down a little bit too hard on the kid. You got to remember, he's still a kid. It is tough to navigate these types of situations, especially with the way that he got introduced to college football, right? With that massive NIL deal and that situation with Florida. But one thing that I think people after him leaving Georgia continue to talk about is maybe running from the competition a little bit, right? I think there were people that saw him leave Arizona State and they're like, well, he couldn't hang, right? He ran away from Sam Leavitt. He ran away from Arizona State. And then Georgia, right? It's not an easy thing to go to an SEC school, especially a school like Georgia that's used to competing for national championships every single year, and not be the guy. But not only was he not the guy, he wasn't the second guy, right? That's a tough thing to do. In Georgia, whether you're there or not, if they have an opportunity to go at a quarterback, they're going to do it in the offseason. They're going to do it in the portal. They're going to do it in recruiting. So I am really interested to see where Jaden Rashada ends up. I think he is somebody that would do wonders at an FCS school, that would do wonders at a Mountain West school, potentially, just to actually play the game for a season, right? You look back to last year, he got hurt at Arizona State, played a few games, that got hurt in the offseason, Then you look at what he did at Georgia, nothing, right? Because there were so many guys on that roster. They had their guy in Beck all year long. Stockton was the backup. Never really got to see, the field. I think he could benefit from just going to a place, maybe a school that's not a powerhouse, and just playing the year. Get your feet wet, throw out some actual tape out there for people to see, and then go maybe do a big school, get your bag, whatever you want to do, and really compete there. But it'll be interesting. I know there are a lot of Arizona State fans that are really interested to see where he ends up. What do you think of the whole situation, Shane?
This is past the point of me saying things that no one else. It's weird. It's an unfortunate thing, and I've commented on this when he was still here. I think it's really unfortunate how his whole college career started, how he's put under a microscope, and then people get involved and start talking for him, and it's a weird situation that you can't help but feel bad for the kid because he might be doing this to himself to some extent, but at the same time, it doesn't really seem like he was set up for success.
No.
So,
absolutely. But
he's got talent. We know that. We were excited about the potential he had, but it just stinks.
It stinks. And again, it stinks for him, especially because for Arizona State, you obviously got, you ended up on the right side of this whole thing. Right. But I think if you are Jaden Rashada, and this is me kind of trying to zoom out, right? You opted to leave a school in Arizona State that made the college football playoff. Everybody knows about the offensive minds of Kenny Dillingham, Marcus Arroyo. The talent was there, right? You just had to sit. You had to earn your spot, right? And that's what everybody had to do. If you wanted to come to Arizona State, you had to earn your spot. You had to want to be at Arizona State. So there was no love lost when he left, right? But then you go to Georgia, and you sit there, you learn there, you watch there, you compete there, and then you leave again, right? So I think there is maybe a little validity to it of hey, you just want to play, which is fine. I've got no issues with players wanting to play, but don't sit here and tell me you're trying to compete with the best when you're leaving the best. You just left two schools now that are in the college football playoff, right? Those programs have the best, right? You didn't want to compete with Sam Leavitt, or you lost competition, and that was, it was what it was, right? And then you go to Georgia, and they've got Beck, and then Stockton's behind him, and then you want to leave there too. So there is a little validity in my mind to that whole not wanting to necessarily compete at the highest level, or maybe a little bit more of you're just a tad sour after you don't get named the starter, or you don't get the spot on the depth chart that you necessarily want. But it is what it is. Rashada, trust me, I don't expect Jaden Rashada to be transferring back to Arizona State by any means. That would certainly be a very, very weird situation. Will in the chat saying, my guess he goes to NC State or Virginia Tech. Yeah, I think an ACC school could make sense for him. That could be fun for sure. But we'll see. Time will tell what happens with Jaden Rashada. Look, I really do appreciate everybody hopping in the chat today. Again, we do this 5 days a week, sometimes 6. We just love Arizona State. It's what we do. We talk about the Sun Devils, football, basketball, all things. So to the 80, 90 plus people that are in here, like I said, we hope to see you tomorrow. We're not done quite yet, but just wanted to show some love to everybody in the chat. Like I said, we really do appreciate you. I do want to shift gears quickly to Big 12 basketball, because this is a basketball conference, right? And I know Arizona State, as of right now, Big 12 champs in football, right? Hang your hat on it. This conference is a gauntlet when it comes to basketball. There are some ridiculous powerhouses in this team, and it has been just remarkable to be a part of already, right? And conference play just started. So this is something that we did all football season. We did our Big 12 football power rankings. For the first time this season, I want to go ahead and get into our Big 12 basketball power rankings. Now, full disclaimer, I'm telling you now, there are going to be some people that disagree with what I have to say here. I'm going to get the Deli Man's opinion on my Big 12 power rankings once we go through them. But for the first time ever, for JJB and everybody else here that's a college basketball fan, this is what we've got for my first ever Big 12 power rankings. Also, want to say for everybody watching on TV, the party always continues at gophnx.com. This is what we got. We've got the Iowa State Cyclones at number 1. This team 12-1 overall, 2-0 in conference. Biggest thing for me is a team that is on a 9-game win streak right now. This is a team in the Cyclones that is going to be back in the NCAA tournament, and they are going to be a scary one. There's no doubt about that. Got the Kansas Jayhawks over at number 2. If you're an Arizona State fan, which I imagine a lot of you are, you're going to be seeing Kansas a little bit later on in the week. The Jayhawks up in the AP Top 25 to, I believe now, number 11. They're 10-3 on the season. West Virginia, the Mountain Mamas, the Mountaineers. If you guys...
I already got a problem.
You already have a problem? That's fine. We'll get to your problems a little bit later. West Virginia right now, they're 11-2 in conference. If you have not been paying attention to what the Mountaineers have been doing on the basketball front this year, they have a win over Gonzaga. They have a win over Arizona. They have a win over Kansas. What?
Until they're ranked below Kansas.
And so, yeah, they're ranked below Kansas. Is that your issue with it? Yeah, no, that's valid. That's valid. I also have Arizona behind Cincinnati, and they beat Cincinnati like a couple days ago or whatever. So that's what I've got there. But, yeah, West Virginia, they're fun. They just entered the AP Top 25 with the latest poll today. So definitely be aware. The Mountaineers, they hoop. Houston at number 4. This is an interesting one for me. Because going into the season, Houston, there's such high expectations, and I'm not saying that this team is necessarily falling flat on it. But they're 10-3 right now in conference, or 10-3 overall, 2-0 in conference. They're number 12 in the country on a 6-game win streak. Have you seen anything from Houston this year, Shano?
I actually haven't watched Houston at all this year, surprisingly.
They were so good last year.
Well, I think they're still going to be good. Like they're still ranked 12 for a reason.
Yeah.
Their first loss of the season was to the best team in the country in Auburn, who was just, if you haven't watched them this year, oh my God. I'm telling you, bro, I'm still not over this. I had Auburn winning it all in the bracket last year. I had Auburn winning it all with my betting heart. I had Auburn winning it all because I love me some Bruce Pearl. And then they got upset by Yale, and the rest is history. I think they win the whole dang thing last year if that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have that loss to Auburn. They lose that game to San Diego State. Which I don't know how that happened. And then you lose to Alabama, which is another good team. I think this team is right on track, and they've been playing really well, it seems. They just beat BYU by 31.
Yeah. Destroyed BYU.
I think they're going to be just fine. As long as what's-his-face is there, it doesn't really matter. Kelvin Sampson, doesn't really matter. Like, they'll
find a way.
They're a wagon.
Absolutely. I've got Baylor at number 5. A lot of people are going to see Baylor's 9-4 and say, why are they so high? Well, I'll tell you what, Baylor, going into the season, there were high expectations. I still feel like there are high expectations. Do you know who their 4 losses are to this year, Shane?
Probably all really good teams, because that's what they do.
Gonzaga?
They got boat raced by Gonzaga, though.
Tennessee, UConn, and Iowa State. Those are the 4 losses. Teams all ranked in the AP Top 25, all tournament teams, all teams that you would probably expect to see at the very least in the round of 32. So I've got no issues with Baylor at number 5, BYU at 6, your Arizona State Sun Devils at number 7. Really, really interested to see what this team does over the next couple of games. They've got Kansas, they've got Baylor, I believe they're next 2. Kansas on Wednesday. Of course, we're going to be doing a post-game show for that one. But Jaden Quaintance has been an absolute monster. Your boy, BJ Freeman, shout out him. He's been on a tear, especially with Josan Sannon out this past game. The Sun Devils, I mean, it was a firm butt whooping.
What'd you think about the ejection?
It's soft. I don't think it was intentional.
It definitely wasn't. I don't know how they determined that was intentional.
Yeah.
That was the most clear, flagrant one ever. He hit him in the ghoulies. Big whoop.
The ghoulies?
Whatever.
The family jewels?
It happens.
Yeah, it does.
Did not look intentional at all.
No. Yeah. It is what it is, but I really like the way the Sun Devils are playing right now. I think Bobby Hurley's got his squad. I think this is a tournament team, and we'll see how they perform on Wednesday. Getting back.
The BYU game scares me a little bit.
Why?
The loss. I mean, they got killed.
I know that.
They got killed.
Yeah, but this is a conference that I feel like it's going to be so volatile.
You don't want to get killed.
No, of course not. You don't want to get killed. But I think when it comes to college basketball, especially in this conference, like there are just going to be those games, right? And you saw they got right back at it. And I know Colorado's not what they were last season, but they killed Colorado without arguably their best offensive player in Josan Sannon, right? Like it happens in this conference. I do have UCF at 8, Cincinnati at 9, Texas Tech at 10, your Arizona Wildcats At number 11,
Who's
you're right.
Arizona Wildcats?
The Arizona Wildcats. Damon Dogs, Arizona Wildcats. At number 11. That may feel like a little too high for some. It may feel a little too low for some too.
It is way too low.
You think it's too low?
Yes, man.
Why is it too low? This team's 8-5.
They had a bad start, but they're going to be
They
fine.
had an awful start. They're 8-5.
That's why these are the power rankings. They're not standings. They look fine. They looked really good, actually, against Cincinnati. The game was gross, but I think they're going to be just fine. I think they slot in at 8, and UCF goes below Cincinnati at 9, and Tech is at 10 still.
What do you have for the rest of it? You like TCU at 12 and Colorado at 13?
TCU is horrible.
Yeah. You think they're worse than the other 4 we have?
I think my bottom would be Utah 16, Colorado 15, Oak State 14, TCU 13, Kansas State 12.
Interesting. With Kansas State having the worst record in the conference.
Yeah, they're also one of those teams where you're like, wake up. Hey, wake up.
They have not won a game on the road, by the way, this season.
I know. But I know they look horrible, but the talent on that roster, it should not be what it is, especially after they paid so much money in the offseason. Like Coleman Hawkins, hey, buddy, let's go.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Do you remember Coleman Hawkins last year at all in Illinois? Oh, my God.
Certified baller.
He has 10 points this year.
Jeez.
Or he's averaging 10 points.
JJB in the chat, Frankie out is tough. Yeah, tough. Frankie Collins done for the year. For the TCU Horned Frogs, obviously former Arizona State Sun Devil. Guys, let me know in the comments, what do you think of our first Big 12 college basketball power rankings? Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Again, Iowa State 1, Utah 16. Everybody else somewhere in between. That is going to do it for the PHNX Sun Devil show today. If you enjoyed the content, give us a follow at PHNX_Sun Devils. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. You can follow the guy behind the Mac, the deli man, at Shane Deef.
Well, my thing doesn't have a name. I'm just Shane.
Just Shane.
Just Shane floating in the ether as always.
And look, before we get out of here, for all of you that stayed all the way here, we've got a PHNX Sun Devils little vlog teaser. Vlog's coming out. You're right. Well, I don't know how big the actual vlog is, so I don't know.
It's going to be like 10 minutes long.
Is it coming out today?
Yeah.
We love to see
sometime probably around 4-ish. So keep your eyes peeled on YouTube and Twitter for it.
But we do have a teaser.
We do.
Well, let's go ahead. Let's take a look at the fun that we had in Atlanta. Let's
go! We made it to Atlanta via Seattle. But we're here.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
How was the trek? Did you sleep at all?
I slept about an hour on the flight from Seattle to Atlanta, but took a quick nap before the press conferences, and here we are. It's the Peach Bowl, baby.
I mean, Sam thinks he could probably beat Michael Jordan in basketball. I mean, that's Sam, right? Scat thinks he's probably the greatest running back of all time because that's Scat.
I've known of Kenny for quite some time. I always kind of follow the offensive young, hot minds out there, try to stay fresh to what we do, and ton of respect for him.
We have breaking news.
They have a margarita machine.
You heard it here first. Steve Sarkisian called Kenny Dillingham hot. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Of course, that vlog is coming out hopefully tonight at the very latest. Tomorrow, so definitely be subscribed to that YouTube channel.
It should be out by 4.
Be subscribed to the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
PHNX Sports. We will see you tomorrow. That is Tuesday, January 7th. In the meantime, go Devils. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.